where Washington comes to talk.
Thank you for that.
105.9 FM and AM 630. Washington's Mall. WMAL.
808 on WMAL. This is where Washington comes to talk. It's Mornings on the Mall with Brian and Larry. Coming up, we are going to take your calls on the latest with Phil Robertson, the Robertson family, standing together saying we either all do Duck Dynasty or none of us do Duck Dynasty. It's a showdown with A&E, and we want to know from you, why do you think A&E suspended Phil Robertson? I mean, why do you think the real reason was? Go ahead and line up, 888-630 WMAL, 888-630-9625. But first, we're going to talk to Raymond Arroyo. He is the anchor of The World Over Live on EWTN at Thursday, 8 p.m. Of course, he's also the EWTN news director. And EWTN, for those of you who don't know, is a Catholic broadcast station, and it's Christmas. Let's talk about Jesus a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
Why not?
Raymond Arroyo, thanks for joining us.
Merry Christmas,
of course, we might
guys.
get suspended. You never know.
That's right, because it depends on how you do it. Merry Christmas to you, Raymond Arroyo.
Hey, delighted to be with you guys. Merry Christmas to you.
I wanted to. This has been a remarkable year in the Catholic Church, and most specifically, all of the focus on the Pope Francis. I mean, he's Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Just take a quick listen of this montage of the media talking about Pope Francis.
This Pope has gotten everyone's attention.
He's daring, he's fresh, he's innovative.
This is like the coolest Pope anyone's ever heard of.
There's hope in this Pope.
So, Raymond, I mean, listen, I am torn here. I'm a Catholic, and it's great to see people all excited about the Pope. But at the same time, do you think that they're being led astray a little bit on how this Pope is being sort of portrayed in the media? I mean, is he really... A Pope's primary job is to make sure that the Church's teachings on faith and morals stays consistent to what Jesus taught 2,000 years ago.
Correct.
Has he done anything different than any Pope before him with regard to the teachings of the Church?
No, he hasn't. Look, guys, I've been covering popes for almost 20 years now. I've covered three. This is my third pontificate. I'm on my third pontificate, and I'll probably see a fourth or fifth. I have to say this. Being close, and I knew both John Paul II as well as Benedict for many years. And knew them
don't drop popes with us.
I know. Look at me name-dropping so early in the morning. But here's the deal. Both of these men were humble men, men of prayer, men who went out of their way to reach out to those who were forgotten, to the poor, to the disabled. They did this daily. I mean, I was there up close watching it in Rome and around the world. Suddenly, this Pope comes along, and he gets all the credit for it. They cover him as if this is something that's never happened
So
before.
what is it? Does Francis have a better publicist?
Well, no, it's not that. I'll tell you what it is. The media and many elites, I think, have this vision of Pope Francis that is we have to say it, they have a more liberal vision of him that I believe and would make the argument is nothing but a fantasy. They are projecting in his ways of expression, which are not always clear and don't always, I think, convey what he intends, because he comes from a South American context, because he wants to be open and inclusive and extend a message of mercy. That is sometimes decoded through the media as being somehow less than doctrinaire, less than committed to doctrine or the long-held beliefs of the Church. And so in this fantasy mode, it reminds me sometimes of the coverage President Obama got when he was running in 2008. The projection is unbelievable. And my question is, in the new year, when this Pope inevitably will have to do what all popes have to do, which is clarify doctrine, what will be the media reaction at that point? And does the honeymoon then come crashing down? But look, on the one hand, I have to say, as a Catholic, and I think you all might agree, it's wonderful to see the Church get such great publicity.
Yeah.
We do see a merciful, joyful, joyous face of Catholicism. Nothing wrong with that. And when Barbara Walters and Robin Roberts and the folks at CNN and MSNBC are saluting the Pope, hey, worse things could happen. And in the wake of the sex abuse crisis and all the negative publicity over the last decade or so, this is fantastic. On the other hand, I do worry the fantasy has gotten the best of them, and we have to say, this is a Pope who, if you look at him closely as I do every day, he is outspoken on the pro-life issue, has raised his voice consistently about the evils of abortion. He's opposed to gay marriage. He's for denying politicians communion who facilitate abortion. I mean, this is hardly a man who's left of center in the American context. So he is neither left nor right. He's Catholic.
All right.
And when that reality hits, I think it's going to be a shock to some in the media.
Let me ask you, though, because we often talk at this time of year, some people talk about this war that there is on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that given what we've just witnessed with the guys at Duck Dynasty, that there may be a war on Christians. Now, look, I mean, you may disagree with the way Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty crafted his comment. Even the family has said they thought it was very coarse. But the position that he took is not all that different from the position that is held by the Catholic Church and many other religions.
Look, Brian, I'm a boy from Louisiana, so I grew up around guys like Phil Robertson. I know them. I love them. He is expressing his deeply held belief. And again, it's in a Louisiana vernacular. Totally makes sense to me. He's a down-home guy. He's obviously deeply convicted. And I don't have a problem with him expressing his faith, and I dare say the 9 million people who tune in every week and have made this show such a phenomenon, they don't have a problem with it either. So the question is he permitted to have those viewpoints publicly? And I worry when people say free speech is permitted, but not hate speech, and somehow this is described as hate speech. I'm not so sure. My feeling is, you know, we hear all sorts of crazy things. We see, horribly coarse and abusive things. You all certainly cover them every day. These cultural.
Just look at Miley Cyrus and her dancing. I mean, that's celebrated in the media.
Whether it's Miley Cyrus or it's something that, look, everyday people are advancing novel visions of the family and relationships, and that's perfectly fine. Have at it. But when a guy states a traditional viewpoint, and he's a Bible-believing Christian, and he's sharing those viewpoints, I think you cut him some slack. And so long as he's not injuring anybody else, what's the harm? But there seems to be an allergy in the larger culture, in the pop culture, to these traditional viewpoints, no matter where they spring from. And as I said earlier, I think what we're going to see in the new year is Pope Francis is going to run into the Phil Robertson effect.
Yep.
And sooner or later, when he states something in his frank way, as he no doubt will, he is going to run afoul of the elites who now want this, they don't want to hear this message in any way.
But Raymond Arroyo, real fast, if they do fire him forever, or if they walk away, would you like to have Duck Dynasty on EWTN?
Yeah, look, sure, you bet.
All right, good to know.
There we go.
Merry
I
Christmas,
just want
Raymond.
the residuals of the Hallmark cards, okay?
That would be a Christmas present.
Listen, thank you so much. We appreciate you calling.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.